Yeah, Brooklyn ends. We back with another one for the youths in them. Yeah, young, brilliant minds, future in sight. Got the power to make change, make the world ignite. Let nobody say you can't achieve your dreams are seeds. So and just watch them grow. But you gotta believe in the youth effect. We're raising up the youth effect. Can't hold us down. The youth effect. We breaking ground. The youth effect. They gonna hear us roar. Educate me, get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Educate me, get the key, unlock the potential. A lesson every day, knowledge essential. Standing tall, walking proud, let your voice be heard. Unite together as one, spread the love with every word. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. Create, initiate, push through, no limits. Go ahead and live it up. Respect, positivity, you on your way. Break down walls, build bridges. Yeah, the youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, can't hold us down.
And it's another Monday. God has given us life to see another week, and I feel much better. Thank you for joining us today again at the Youth Effect on TDN Radio Caribbean, TDN Network 1 on YouTube, Facebook, TDN Radio Caribbean on Facebook, VN streams on Roku. And remember to also subscribe, okay? We're also on Instagram. Find us there at TDN Radio, TDN Network, all right? You're again looking at another program where we motivate and advocate for, with, and by our youth. And we are only the conduit to bring forth their voice. Today, the voice of Kurdian Robinson. Yes, that's my nephew. My nephew. My son, or my brother made for me. My first son. My first son. Yeah, I'm the cool aunt. So we're going to listen to Kurdian today on our topic, the 2024 election and its impact on our youth. You know, we had this historical election last week, Tuesday. And whether we agree with the results or not, this is the government of the day. And we, as civic, or to do our civic duty, is to be good citizens, the best that we can be. But that doesn't mean to hide your voice or to keep your voice muffled or stifled, okay? So we're here to advocate with regards to the policies of today, and Kurdian is going to speak to us on what is in it for us, the youth, on the economy, on the economic issues, on healthcare, on mental health, on social life, even digital life. How is that going to impact them? And will help us as adults understand more how they think, how they see things. Let me tell you something. The other day we had a little table talk about messaging etiquette according to the youth. We have to have a session on that. That's just telling you, the youth are full of it, and we're going to learn from them on where? The Youth Effect, every Monday, 8:30 p.m. Remember to tell your friends and to join us every single week. I'm going to invite, hi Cody, we call him Cody. This is Kurdian Robinson.
Hello.
Hi, he came to spend a few days with his auntie. Love, 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 love this child. Yes.
Hello.
You're not shy.
I'm not shy, but it's my first time. Oh, it's my first time. No,
Okay,
I'm playing,
so who are you?
I'm Kurdian Robinson. I'm Kathy Robinson's nephew, son, first son, only son. That's here.
Oh,
That's
be
here.
careful, your auntie
That's
still
here.
hear
That's
you.
That's here present. That's here presently. What else can I really say about myself? I'm a jeweler, 25 years old. I tattoo. I've done sports semi-professionally. I've done it on the high school level, college. I've been up and down in all levels of corporate and business America. JSA program. So I have
What's a
done
JSC?
Junior Statesman of America. So
Okay.
it's a small little summer thing. They have a winter session as well, and I believe a fall and spring recess that we do every year.
Okay.
And that involves taking a select group of the youth around America,
Mhm.
and you go to different Ivy League colleges.
Okay.
I selected Princeton in my year in
Okay.
2014. And then you go and study. I'm young. I try to still think that I'm young. But
yes.
you go to these colleges, you do a course. Mine was business administration for one and political speaking, but we do talk a lot on the political effect of America and a lot of things that are going on today. And we have debates actually. So we do cover a lot of topics involving a lot of the things that you mentioned and brought up. So healthcare being one of them, the economy and certain policies, foreign exchange, foreign transactions, tariffs, and things of that nature, just for a better camaraderie. And it doesn't also extend to just the US, but we had people from the Canary Islands, for example, from Spain. We had some people from the Polynesian Islands as well. Some people from Africa come, and they also get to experience and have that same type of first-hand POV of what America life is, and we also get to experience.
Okay, for the older people who do not know what POV is, tell us.
Point of view.
Okay, I learned that just about a month ago, so that's why I'm asking. So POV, when you're looking at your TikTok and stuff, and you see POV, it says point of view.
How you see it.
How you see it. And remember, in this political debate that's going on right now, it's always about the perspective. Remember, depends on where you stand. A 6 could be a 6, or it could be a 9. So let us all in this environment learn to respect each other's point of view, learn to respect other people's standpoints, as well as you don't have something good to say or you don't respect their standpoint, just say, excuse me, I am not interested in this conversation, or I do not want to talk politics. You can nicely and courteously excuse yourself. All right. But remember, people see things from their own lens based on their own experiences in life. And people always have their own agenda. And in light of the youth, we cannot always speak for the youth because the youth have their own lens, their own viewpoints. Yes. And even
the messaging.
And even their own lane on which to drive on, that we just cannot get into that at all. So tell us, you're also an artist, other than being a tattoo artist.
I do.
Tell us about your music too.
I do make music as well. I record out of Dallas actually, so I flew into New York back home for my auntie's occasion for her wedding celebration. I mainly paint. I'm getting back into sketching, a lot of black work, so figuring out shadings, lines. I've done murals before. I have artwork hung up overseas. In different hotels, Fort Young Hotel being one of them, from since when I was younger.
And he spent a year
when I was younger
in Dominica.
And that also helped broaden different viewpoints and stuff, how other people
which links us to what we were talking about last week about cultural heritage, bringing our children into our culture and passing on the legacy to them. So he and his younger sister spent a year with their grandparents, my parents, our parents back home.
And definitely something that stays with me and I remember all the time.
Yes.
Fishing. Oh my gosh, going to the river, climbing trees, getting mangoes, going to the savannah, playing football or soccer.
The beach. We went to the beach.
We did go to the beach. We went to Purple Turtle Beach. Oh my God. I'm thinking about
Dominica, a must go.
I'm thinking about the
nature island of the Caribbean.
Where else? Freshwater Lake.
T2.
Yes.
T2 Gorge.
Yes. Carib Reserve. We climbed the Black Rocks going up and coming back down.
Okay, so you see, I haven't even done that yet. So that has to be on my agenda when I go back home.
See, the youth experience.
The youth experience, yes. So with regards to this youth experience and your experience at Princeton, how do the Harvard poll spoke about there was 37% in these elections. How did you vote, by the way?
I will not lie, I did not vote in this election.
Why?
I did not vote. I was told to vote. However, it was really, this election was like picking the lesser of two evils. And
okay, why do you see that?
I say that because on paper, you're looking at the first woman who has the potential to be president.
First black mixed immigrant woman. There's a lot of heavyweight on her.
A lot of heavyweight on her. And while it would be nice to see someone like her represent a large majority of groups, both in gender, race, culture, policy-wise, it's very hard. It was very hard to get behind her. She is a very good leader. Policy, it fell a little short in terms of getting to know all the information.
Like what? When you say getting to know the policy, so you said two things there.
Mm-hmm.
Policy was short,
mm-hmm.
and getting all the information. So you're talking about awareness,
mm-hmm.
and the policy wasn't clear. When you say it was short, what specifically do you mean?
So with, and again, this is from my perspective,
of course,
a lot of people, good majority, I don't want to say a lot,
okay.
but a good majority of people's perspective was
mm-hmm.
the focus on the minority
mm-hmm.
and focus on what would happen with immigrants and stuff during this time post-election and how everything would be moving forward with foreign policy.
Okay.
And foreign policy affects a lot on a day-to-day basis, being economics, your stock market,
mm-hmm.
Your interest rates, tariffs, taxes, price of goods. And yes, while focusing on immigration is good and focusing on diversity and inclusion is good, that does not directly affect me on a day-to-day. That does not affect my income or my pockets, my financial status, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And for the youth, it's already hard to get an apartment. Mm-hmm. Apartments are more expensive. I've had conversations with older people before when they tell me, even at my job, who are 10, 20, 30 years older than me, when they were my age, an apartment for them was maybe $600, $700, $800. Going to the gas station, you could take $5, $10,
yes,
fill a tank,
wish.
And you would still have change.
Yes.
A good friend of mine told me he lost his mind when gas hit 90 cents. 90 cents.
90 cents.
And now
$13.
And now in some places
$5, $2, yeah.
$5, $6 even in California. So when you have those kind of things that you're more looking at that directly correlate to your lifestyle and how you're going to get to the next 24 hours, to your next day, then things of diversity aren't as important to you. They don't hold as much weight.
Because right now an apartment is, landlords are asking for 3 times. You have to put down the first month rent, mm-hmm. the security deposit, and the last month's mm-hmm. rent. And that is hard.
Not only that, but even when you do all that, applying for a place, you have to make 3 times.
Yes, you have to have 3 times the salary, right?
And
have good credit.
And have good credit, which for the youth, we're not really taught credit in school.
Right.
Credit isn't a thing. You have to either learn it at home or go out your way to go learn it. Mm-hmm. And thankfully for me, I had good people that showed me some steps in how to build that and how to make that work for me. But not everybody has access to that.
And having the father that you do.
And that part.
Let me tell you about my brother and his saving and his. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
So an apartment now. On the low end that mm-hmm. I've seen in my area in Dallas. I live in Frisco, Texas. And that's next to the Star, which is the Dallas Cowboys, the team of America.
You're giving the whole world your location.
Look, they can come find me. It's okay. It's Texas. It's Texas. But that's next to the Star, and that's the Dallas Cowboy practice facility, mm-hmm. where they also have Tesla moving in. Okay. Toyota just moved in as mm-hmm. well. So that's a lot of that's a lot of growth. So obviously housing goes up. And quality of life goes up. And that affects the little areas, the little people, the youth,
Right.
the middle class, and everything like
and
that.
youth who are just starting off, first-time jobs.
First-time jobs, first-time house buyers. If you're not in a dual income household, it's kind of hard. The average rent in my area is like about $1,450, $1,400,
And that's
$500.
for 1, 2 bedrooms.
That's for a one bedroom. One bedroom. On top of that, that is the base rent. That's not including amenities. That's not including your lighting bill.
Wow.
That's not including all of those. That's not including
Laundry, nothing.
No.
Driveway, parking, no.
So
Heater.
when you have things being as expensive that they are, but your salary doesn't match, and even your minimum wage is not increasing to match inflation that is happening, then it kind of makes it hard for you to have those same experiences as your parents, as your uncles, your aunties, your grandparents, where at our age, 21, 22, 23, et cetera, they were able to possibly get their first house with a lower down payment than
lower down payment,
what we would
and
have.
probably more opportunities as well in terms of sourcing financing.
Yes. Yes. So when everything is about inclusion, but you're not really expanding on, okay, this is how I'm going to help you in the future get to these points as well, and make it accessible for everybody, it makes it hard to follow.
Yeah.
Her stance, her stature, her speech, very strong, very powerful woman. No one can deny that. Trump, on the other hand, while everyone will say, and on paper, he is a felon, an indicted, 2-time indicted president, he's a businessman. So yes, history shows that he's filed for bankruptcy, he's lost money, but he has made it back. During his term, while they say he gave a stimulus, he didn't give the stimulus. The House gave the stimulus. The House passed that. Everybody kind of boosted the economy a little bit, and things flowed. Stocks were the highest they had been in those 4 years. Under Biden's term, everything's kind of dropped back, a lot more lenient in a sense, but a lot more hands-on in foreign policy. Trump is more, the word I believe is isolationist, to where everything is focused on America.
Yes.
So
make America great again.
Make America great again.
Things.
We fix things. So that whole thing of kicking people out, and that's obviously not a good thing, because America is built off of the work of immigrants. America started as an immigrant country. So you have different things such as those looks or those statements that he makes that are very out there and could be seen as very brash to people. That's obviously a little bit less tolerable and less appealing.
Yeah.
But when you look at certain things like cutting down taxes for for higher income housing, the minimum household makes at least about 36 to 45. Average.
Really? 36? You sure? Not more like 29 to? No,
so 29 would be like, if you take your minimum wage in most places, and this is just bringing it all around to a $15 an hour, a full-time working person.
But not everywhere makes $15
and not
an
everybody
hour.
makes 15. But remember, that's considered now lower class, so that wouldn't even affect people. The tax cut would start from anywhere above that quartile of making that 45. So then they're getting those deductions. They're paying less taxes, which makes a break on them. And at the same time, while that's making a break on them, it's kind of helping your servers, because you're no longer taxing their tips, which does come out in those businesses when you do that.
But right now you're getting taxed
on your tips.
On your tips.
So if you're taking that away from the businesses and lowering that 15% tax that they're hitting to a 10, that extra 5 that they're taking away from those workers and where they're getting it from workers will now kind of feed back into them. It seems appealing, but only in practice will we actually know. And that's kind of where that is. Even with his election currently and him winning it and them calling it a landslide victory, the stock market on Wednesday, actually last week, was the highest it had been.
Yeah.
And that kind of speaks volume for a lot of how the world sees what would happen with America, how a lot of people want to invest in America and move forward. Because he's, like I said, he's he's a brash man.
Brash is
an
understatement.
understatement.
Understatement
Brash
of
is an
the
understatement,
year of the decade.
But at the same time, that makes people scared because there's a certain uncertainty about what they might do. So everyone obviously wants
on their tippy toes on eggshells.
Exactly.
So when you're on tippy toes on eggshells, it makes you more cautious. It makes you more vigilant.
Yes.
As well. And it's a risk.
It is a risk. It is a risk. But how would you know if you don't ever take a risk with somebody, you know?
I get that because I am someone who takes risks, but I don't know about the Trump risk. I mean, so tell me about healthcare. You are a nursing student.
I am a nursing student.
You see?
I am a nursing student.
He's a nursing student, so he tell me about healthcare and mental health. How does that affect the youth? Because, you know, the youth experience 25% impact rate when it comes to health and mental health. So where does that put them? How does it work?
With healthcare now, the biggest thing that everybody was looking at with Trump being reelected were abortion bans.
Yes.
And as pregnancy has declined actually over the last few years, in overall general America, I was going to say in the younger population, but overall, a lot more stricter bans have come out to kind of prevent abortions because they see it as, one, morally wrong, and then two, against a human right.
Okay.
Now, while he is in office and in term, Trump has spoken out and said straight up he's not signing a nationwide ban.
Yes, I heard that the last time that he said that. But before, he did propose about doing this. But how can we trust what comes out of Trump's mouth?
Well, he's a politician.
Exactly.
So it doesn't benefit him.
Not even a little bit of salt.
No.
Little bit of salt.
If it doesn't him, then kinda has a no interest. He's left to the states. Now, since he has proposing that, so is no abortion. If you do go to that,
and it's a medically only done because we're ready for it. There are
there's different life situations in which people do get pregnant.
Yeah, and no, what I'm saying is severe life impacting situations that can happen with a pregnancy. We can speak to the ethical part of pregnancies where right now we can see if a child is going to be healthy. Now, if we know that, if I know I'm going to have a child who's going to have a debilitating disease or terminal illness from those tests, and it's going to cost me an arm and a leg, which I do not have. That option, I'm not saying I'll do it, but I'm just speaking, that option should be mine, whether I go through with it or not, but at least I should have that option. If to bring this child in this world to suffer, because that's how I'll say it, as well as to take all our savings to keep that child alive. What if that child needs equipment to keep them alive?
Well, let me break this down for you, because really the underlying thing is the workforce. if you just remember, you have your elderly who have retired already and are now surviving off of Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid,
Yeah,
all
we'll
that.
come back to
And we'll come back to that.
Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, yes.
But you have them, and then obviously, eventually, at some point in time, they will be no more.
Mm-hmm.
You have your infants who obviously cannot work.
Your what?
Your infants. Your babies,
infants, babies,
your
right?
babies who cannot work.
Right.
And then you have your working class people.
Right.
Well, if you're having less and less kids,
Mm-hmm.
eventually that infancy population gets smaller.
Right.
So your overall working class will get smaller.
And the Social Security going to win out.
If they tell you, hey, you have to have this baby now, regardless if it's your body or not.
Was it China one-child policy? No, two-child policy.
No, two-child policy.
Two-child
but
policy.
Back then it was overpopulation.
It was overpopulation, which it kept too long because after now the population started to dwindle. Right. So do you think that we're going to experience that in America?
I do not believe that we will.
But let us piggyback on what you said earlier, that pregnancies has declined. It has declined. Right.
But
no, with that thing with the abortion, maybe to make people more diligent in terms of intimacy and how they carry out their situations.
Very much so.
So not to get into these situations where you have these options. You have to even think of these options. But then if there is not, because as well, people are having smaller families. And then if we have had smaller families, two children, one child, then the population will dwindle.
Well, the quote unquote American dream is mom, dad, 2 children, dog, 2.5 kids.
White picket fence,
your house. Right? So no matter what, you want to have it, they'll never put it in place an overpopulation like stick, because they want more people to be working to make more money, to pay more taxes. It's a business.
It's a business.
And I need more employees, but how am I going to have more employees
if
they're not coming in? I'm never gonna stop it.
So that's why so you're saying there's an agenda behind the no abortion other than the moral part of it, and what you're saying. It's producing labor so that everything is sustainable by the American public.
So again, back to that isolationist thing that I was saying, if tariffs are imposed at higher rates to outside countries, let's say like Mexico, like China, where some of those big imports come in, then obviously if they're paying more to send stuff in, at some point in time, they're going to stop. So if they're stopping, the American people now have to pick up those jobs. And then you have... They're forced to.
Because when DeSantis in Florida had put that immigration law, and then all the immigrants stopped working, the Americans don't want to pull up the slack.
No, as an American, I will tell you, I do not want that job.
You see?
They will tell you straight up, I do not want that job.
Because, they underestimate the labor that goes into picking oranges and cleaning them, and the speed at which you do those things, But remember, you're looking at the youth effect, and we're speaking with our own Kurdian Robinson on the state of the economy with regards to the impact on youth, impact on them and in their generations, and how they see it from their own perspectives. And remember, you can get us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Roku, all right, all on TDN Media. All right. And Kurdi, where can we find you as well?
I'm mainly on Instagram at The Real Kurd, TheRealKXRD. I'm on Twitter, or X.com as it's called now. Twitter, the government name, as we say. Twitter's government name.
Ex-government name.
Ex-government name.
It's Twitter, right?
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter. Right.
But again, still The Real Kurd, TheRealKXRD.
KXRD.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah, The Real Kurd.
Something different.
It's real. Okay. So, all right. So going back to this, we're going to take now this abortion and population thing a little bit more now into healthcare. a lot of the Trump got the majority of all populations.
Mhm.
He got black men, he got white women, he
Mhm.
got Latinos, he got white, of course, white men.
Yeah.
He got white women. He just got the
The
majority
sweet, yeah.
of the population of each sector,
Sector, yeah.
each sector. How do you, or what, on the youth POV, how do you assess that or analyze it, other than about what you just mentioned? It's about the grassroots level, about the economy. How do I survive for the next day? But we know all this talk that, the mortality rate for Black women in hospitals, pregnancies,
Mhm.
is higher for Black women.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you see that it says that a lot more Black people voted for Trump? Why would you think that? Because some of us would think this is so absurd. Why?
Truthfully, and I'm laughing because a black man would not take charge from a woman, and they wouldn't, like, willingly.
You think? But the
And
other day I was hearing something and say a Black man respects a woman. That
he
guy
respect-
that guy who was on The View. I can't remember
he
his name.
respects a woman, but that does not mean he will take charge from a woman. And a lot of them in side combos will tell you straight up, I can't see her as my president. I would rather take him again. And
So it's a sexist, misogynistic thing.
it is, and it's
still a patriarchal society, and
but
we'll
it's
never
also,
get away from that.
It's also still very much a race thing. Like black black person and an African American person and an African person, all three are different.
I know.
All three are different.
Yeah, and a lot of people do not know that and do not understand that
Mhm.
Africans don't. We say, oh, we are going back to Africa and we're Africans, and Africans don't see us as Africans.
They don't see us as Africans.
We're different.
So
as well as the Black African Americans.
Yeah. And growing up in public schooling, in public American schooling, I will tell you, no one is more racist towards a black person
than a black person.
And no one is more racist to their own race than someone of that same race.
Okay.
So if anything I can do to kind of get ahead, regardless if I have to side with evil,
right,
I will. Because I believe in my heart that maybe whatever you're doing for your people, I can possibly wiggle into that same category and have the same effects.
So it's really like what we always say is the black crab effect. You put the black crabs in a barrel and they will be all climbing on each other's backs to get to the top. And at the end of the day, they will still get every single black crab there. Mm-hmm. And it's literally true. And I used to go crab hunting when I was a teenager, and it's actually true. Yeah. Tried it. The white crabs, they actually, the next day, there is none in the barrel. They actually climb over with each other and help each other, pull each other up, help each other, pull it up, and they're over. And it can be taken literally as well, black, white, because we do bring down our own, don't we? Yeah. We criticize. A black person can never do anything good because another black person is going to find a way to bring them down. But remember, I'm speaking in general terms, okay? I'm speaking general. I remember we are talking about our own perspectives here. You may not necessarily agree with it, and this is our disclaimer. You may not necessarily agree with our perspectives, but thank you so much for listening. And remember to put in your comments, because this is also a conversation with you. We'd like to hear from you and what you think about the outcome of this election and how it's going to affect you.
It's America, like America was based off of supremacy.
Yes.
And that's still very much a thing that's ingrained into society. When Trump first came into office, his first term, he made it acceptable to kind of say what's on your mind, be a bigot, be hypocritical, be XYZ. Right. And people found, here's a man like me in the highest power in the world. I can say these things and I can express myself the same way. When he stepped out of office and he lost his first re-election, remember they had the January 16th or January 6th?
Yes, January 6th
um,
uprising.
the uprising, and he still calls them patriots to this day.
Yes.
Not out of bad terms, but that's again his view. That's how he saw it. Them acting as a patriotic riot for their president or their leader. And with that, if it was any other group, we would have seen it handled differently.
Yes.
Or we could have expected it to be.
Don't say any other group. If it were black people, it would be a rebellion. It would be how do you call it? Treason.
Treason.
It would have been treason.
That's what all of them were arrested on. That even if you were there and you took a picture, you are still considered committing an act of treason because you are a part of the crowd.
Right.
Now, with his reelection, he's even saying that he will pardon a good amount
of them. He said that he would pardon them.
So we're still seeing how that's being handled as well, even after the last 4 years. It's hard. It's very hard to see how it will go moving forward. But at the same time, everyone has their own idea of what they can expect. Like the wall construction still happened in his 4 years. It may finish this year. It may finish in his next 4 years on the northern part for Canada side, and America might really be closed off, kind of like how Berlin was at one point in time, with the east and the west side. But with that, that's where people are trying to see that make America great again thing. Okay, we're closed off, we're isolated, we're by ourselves. We're hands off now with foreign policy, leaving NATO, which is, oh my gosh, the North Atlantic Trade Organization. And that handles a vast majority of the world's trade going back and forth from North America, Africa, Europe, China, well, Asian countries in general.
Right.
And leaving those groups, leaving the climate change policies and everything as well, it's turning into more of a thing of, okay, we're here. What are we going to do to be better than what's currently going on?
But Trump doesn't believe in climate change. He doesn't think that what is happening is global warming. So how are we going to approach the agreements that just came from the climate change convention not too long ago?
Because he did leave.
Right, he did
Biden
leave.
did join again.
Right.
We don't know if he's going to leave again.
Right.
For his climate change policies or for his environmental policies. He's looking at cleaner energy being natural gas and trying to approve more funding and funnel it into there to get that going. But then that raises the price of electric vehicles.
Yes.
And then that crashes the automotive, which we just saw had a crash in the lockdown, where those were some of the lowest prices on even some of your most high-end luxury cars that you've ever seen. And only to have inflation and everything else and all the interest rates, all the banks are kind of struggling at this point in time, get shot right back up.
Right.
And it's a thing where now he has the backing of the House on one end.
And the Senate on the other.
And the Senate on the other end. So a lot of policies can get pushed through.
And the Supreme Court in his pocket.
And the Supreme Court as well. I almost forgot about them.
Yeah. So he's got power.
And now at the same time, he wants to kind of be a little bit more direct and hands-on with the Federal Reserve, which in its own is an independent organization for the U.S.
So you think he's going to put it under the federal government?
I don't think that he'll put it underneath the federal government. However, I believe he will now enact the federal government to have say, or at least have a member in there of the federal government that has some type of power. I'll be like, hey, we're going to go do this. Almost kind of like how we have the Senate, almost kind of like how we have the House. But however he says it, I see it more as like a boardroom.
A boardroom.
And him.
But he did run the boardroom.
He did run the boardroom.
Get fired? What was it? You're fired.
You're fired.
Yeah.
And he's wanting to be, I don't want to say power hungry, because power hungry isn't a term I'm using for, but he wants to put his hands more directly into everything to see how he can directly impact without anyone else saying he did not.
Isn't it what we call micromanagement?
with a country that big, I don't think that's micromanaging.
You don't think?
I don't think,
if you
but
want to be involved with everything.
True. But we can only see. Obviously, a lot of people, once they did get the news, is, oh, I'm leaving, I'm gone. Everything's going to go down. Everything's going to burn. A lot of people are expecting riots. I
do not think riots will happen.
But,
I would have expected riots if things had happened the other way around.
Correct.
Yes. So we've touched on climate change, environment, a little bit on healthcare. We'll come back to that, and we've spoken about the economy and inflation. When we get back, we're going to just cut for a break in a few minutes, and we're going to be speaking on education, because there was talk about cutting the education department. We'll speak to education and gun violence with regards where the youth are concerned.
Texan's favorite topic.
Yes, gun violence, education, and a little bit more on mental health. So remember, you're looking at TDN Network, wherever you're looking at, on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TDN Radio Caribbean, TDN excuse me, and TDN Radio Caribbean, TDN Network 1 on YouTube, and Viz Streams on Roku. Okay, you are looking at the Youth Effect. I'm Kathy Robinson, and this is my son/nephew, Kurdian Robinson, and we'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned.
A smart house run by a vengeful AI, a mute witness to an act of unspeakable evil. A breadfruit thief is haunted. A young man unwittingly creates a god. Giant crapos terrorize a community. A witch seeks revenge on her neighbors, and much more. The Piton Noir Writing Collective is thrilled to announce the release of the third book in their acclaimed anthology series, The Flying Crapo. Flying Crapo, Heroes and Monsters. Now available for purchase on Amazon.com. Get your copy today and embark on a journey filled with heroes, monsters, and the magic of the Caribbean. Get ready for an electrifying thriller. A fearless New York attorney takes on corrupt corporate giants fighting for the powerless. Can this seasoned attorney and his team take down a monstrous company and its powerful leader? What will be the final verdict? What price will our heroes pay? Find out as you turn the pages of The Trust by Sam George. Get your copy of The Trust today from Amazon.com.
Yeah, nice convo and during the break. Yes, so we're gonna continue in talking with regards to mental health.
Mental health, sleep.
Yes.
The youth is cooked. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my!
Like, that's the best way. And cooked for anyone who doesn't know what that means. It means, for a lack of better terminology, we're screwed, because mental health isn't a thing that's touched on. And it hasn't been a thing that's really been pushed or exposed as being a big issue until the last recent few years. That being said, now you're seeing a lot of people, I don't want to use the term woke, I don't like using the term woke, but a lot of people are more aware of certain actions or things, and it's getting to the point to where a lot of people are going to go get diagnosed. Therapy is more acceptable, even though at the same time, a lot of people still don't want to go see a therapist because of the stigma of something is wrong with me.
You, yes.
But that may not be the case.
Mm-hmm.
It could simply be a thing of you just have trauma or a situation that you haven't unpacked to speak about, and you're just holding it.
Right.
Now, at the same time, obviously you do have certain things that can go under the radar, like ADHD, ADD, bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, stuff like that. and you could just shrug it off and be like, oh, maybe I just had a bad day, or this
Yeah.
was going on, da 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 da. And
Or people just dismiss you as being too sensitive
Mhm.
or irrational.
Mhm. Like you making a joke with somebody, for example, like we come from a very jokey family,
Yes.
and sometimes you may not always take the joke as being funny, and they would look at it as being sensitive. But in the moment, you are just expressing your feelings, and a lot of people feel as if their feelings are not heard, they're not being validated,
They're not seen.
and they're not real or being seen. So once you kind of open that door for conversation and allow an open mind to be heard, to express yourself, to have a safe environment, then it's more like, okay, this is how we can progress further and work on this for you. How can we help you? And
So what does this government?
believe with the mental health. With them and mental health, honestly, it's not really his number one
It's
thing.
not on his top priority
It's
list.
not on the top priority. It's more as a back burner thing. Like, okay, if you need help, you could get it yourself. You could work on it yourself. But they don't see it as a thing. It's more, and this is from a boy's perspective. If you do feel sad, whatever, et cetera, then you're considered weak. And that would simply just be how they look at it. Until something happens on the extreme end, and then it's, oh my gosh, I wish they would have spoken to me. I wish they would have told me something sooner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the only way the youth can really get through with mental health is being more open, having those discussions, talking about it more in school, like you said, in education being cut and being funded to other places such as defense, such as military, such as other aids and things of that nature, then it kind of makes it hard to do that. So if you're not practicing it at home or not speaking about it at home with your parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, so at least you have some type of understanding, then you'll never make a way forward, especially in a time when it's being more recognized than ever at this point, whether it being on TikTok in Reels or Instagram Reels, Twitter, certain posts, and you can have what they call just shit posts where people just literally talk mess.
Yes.
Or it's just a nonsense post, but underlying that person may really have something going on or whatever. But as long as they now have this platform,
Right.
everybody can express themselves. So whether you're sad or not, you could either put that on somebody else or out yourself.
Right.
And with social media now as well, we could potentially see a TikTok ban just because it is a Chinese regulated app or an Asian regulated app. And with all that information, they don't want it being leaked or sold, kind of like the Facebook data breach that happened earlier this year or last year sometime. So with things like that and more regulatory policies on social media, you might see a change in what kind of content you might, take in on your day-to-day basis and how that might affect your mental health.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's very, very important that you cannot overemphasize the importance of seeing someone or speaking to someone if you're having you're having issues. Sometimes when you say mental health issues, we forget the health part. And mental health is good. You can have good mental health and you can have bad mental health.
Like, my favorite quote is, one of my favorite quotes from the Joker is just, you are one bad day from being me. Being your one situation, one event, one minor inconvenience from literally going insane, from just having a breakdown. And that's all that is. And it could be simple as your food falling.
Yeah.
And that might have been your only meal. And someone looking on you from the outside would think, oh, bro, just buy more.
Yeah.
But that might have also been your last five. They don't know that.
Right.
So all these things stack up and build and build and build. And eventually it gets to the point to where it's just too much. It's too heavy. But at the same time, it could be a simple situation of exhaustion. People who work a lot, people who work 5, 6, 7 days a week, 12, 13, 14-hour shifts.
And the young people nowadays have 2, 3 jobs.
They have 2, 3 jobs. So you have that work burnout, you have that exhaustion. And in your head, you're trying to just simply figure out, okay, how am I going to make it? I'm doing all of this. Where is the end of the tunnel? And when you have those things on top of you, it's hard to see that because you're just so focused on what's in front of you. You're not actually seeing what you have accomplished, what's actually going on, and thinking about it in a smaller light and breaking it down.
Yeah. So, but we have a little correction to make. We mixed up the trade agreements. We mixed up NATO with NAFTA.
With NAFTA, yes.
Okay. So the NAFTA is American Free Trade Agreement, which has been there forever and trying to, we have other trade agreements with the United States. You've got the Mexico-Canada agreement, the USMCA. But what we're talking about with NATO as well, one of the things I was reading the other day was under Trump, we might see more involvement with NATO in that because he puts more, because the NATO is a political military alliance. So thank you very much, Sam, for making that correction for us. And they're saying that under Trump, that a lot more, he puts more focus on defense. So you may see more of the European countries now being forced into streamline into spending more on defense and security.
Because, and correct me if I'm wrong or how it looks, but we say America is just a third world country with a Gucci belt. So it looks good.
A third world country with a Gucci, I would think so, because there's some things I tell you in Dominica, we do that. Do it better than America.
It's just a third world country with a Gucci belt and a gun, and that's truly what it is.
Well,
and
when we did history, when I did the history, in our history book, they featured the U.S. with the American, the top hat, dressed in the American top coat in the stripes and stuff with the big
the mallet,
the big stick. You call it the big stick policy.
Walk with a big stick.
No, it was we call it the big stick policy because America
focused a lot on military at the time.
Yeah, not only that, because they think that they are the guardians of everything, and it's a bullying thing.
It is a bullying thing because you have a lot of foreign countries going through their own issues. Currently, we have,
and America just from peace and figure, I'd say you need to do this, and maybe you need to do as big brother.
As big brother, and
big brother, big daddy, whichever one you want to think.
Whichever, but in a lot of situations, America doesn't have to get involved until you think about why America is getting involved.
America will get involved, which you come back to when you talk about Trump, because America always have an agenda.
There's always an agenda.
There's always an agenda where they can benefit. Yes. So even though they're across the seas right now, with warships all in other little crooks and crannies, there is a benefit where, if you don't see it, look for where the canals and the trading points are and where the ports are.
And there's more than likely to be an American ship station.
There is likely to be an American ship station there, very much so. So there is benefits everywhere.
It looks good, but now with him and expressing, hey, we've helped you guys several times. When are you going to start giving back to us? Because we're spending money on you. When are you going to send money back to us? So now he's actually asking for, I believe it's 2%, 2% of their yearly GDP to be sent to America.
Oh, really? Okay, so I haven't gotten to that part yet in being very critical of his policies and stuff yet. So one of the things that's coming out from that is for me now to pay a little bit closer attention to the policies that Trump is actually saying with an objective point of view, because I don't like the man he manages so nasty. I don't like the man. He's not a nice person. He's not a nice person. He's not a decent person. But maybe right now he is the president and being president-elect. Thank you for the correction. We have to be big boys and girls and be the adults in the room right? That's what I'm saying, to be the adults in the room and accept that this is what it's going to be, and try to understand how it's going to benefit us and see where we can create our own opportunities to get benefits from it. Because hey, it is what it is already. We cannot sit down in the corner and
Yeah.
bitch about it,
No.
right? So we have to. One thing I always say, okay, so something happened to you, you cry, you give yourself a couple minutes to cry, you give yourself a week to cry, you give a timeline, then you lick your wounds and you get back up and you go forward, because we have to create our own opportunities. Yes. Yeah, we have to create our own opportunities regardless of all the resistance and the negativity that we see. There has to be a light coming from somewhere. It's like water. Water will always find a crevice in which to seep through, always find a way out. So in this situation that we are in, this political environment, in this tense, divisionist, divisive
One thing,
kind of environment and society, we have to be the water to find our crevices in which to now develop our growth and ourselves.
I give him points in this category.
Okay.
I give him points for this because he was still very truthful about how he would ever go about his presidency.
Yes.
Previously, before, he has stated if he ever did have to run, he would run as a Republican.
Well, actually, this was debunked by a big newspaper.
Really?
Yes, it was. Because I believe that, and I was corrected that no, actually, that is not true. So I took it quickly. It was debunked by People's Magazine a few years ago.
Oh.
So him saying that he will run as a Republican and stuff like that, I was told it wasn't true because it was proven, it was fact checked.
Ah. But still.
But still, he's the person to say that.
But he has shown America's true colors.
Yes.
And while everyone was quiet about how they really felt about certain things, the moment that he ran for his first term, you saw a big change in America. You saw how people were coming forward, stating their opinions on certain
especially
issues.
race and certain issues. Yes,
a lot of race, a lot of gender related issues as well. A lot of marriage as well, and those type of things. And it showed that America is not this happy-go-lucky place.
And it shows that
can be
America
over
is not
time.
the Christian face that it puts forward. I mean, my daughters have something to say, and they probably see it in your own generation things in terms of trending. There is no hate like Christian hate, and it is so true. It is very true. Because Christians can be very judgmental. I know you can hate me for saying that, and that's fine because I need no validation. I need no approval or permission to say what I need to say. Remember, this is my show. This is my opinion. And I always believe as well that we don't always have to look at things that supports our opinion, because our minds are not going to grow if we do not understand what the other people in the opposite side think. Yeah. So no matter how we think, if we stick with people with the same views as us, we're not going to learn.
We'll never learn and we'll never move forward.
We'll never move forward. Not only that, our perspectives will never change because there is something to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's a form of we have to be moving in a form. I may not agree with your lifestyle. I may not agree with what you have to do, but there is a basic human right. Each person has the right
to bear arms. We're
not talking about the Second Amendment right now. To be respected.
To be respected, yes.
We have the right to be respected. And we can come again and discuss about the right to bear arms. I mean, this was put in the Constitution way back when, because everything has to be put into context. And this brings us directly, segues now into gun violence. Yes. And way back when the Constitution was made, remember, the Constitution was made of, they were now forming the United States, and they had left Britain. So they were doing everything contrary to what they experienced in Britain, which was what the Boston Tea Party was about.
Yeah.
And so the whole system of government is totally different. A lot of things are different from the British government, British way of governing. Yeah. And I can't exactly remember the narrative with regards to the guns, but there is something with regards to protecting your land, because remember at that time it was everybody grabbing their own piece of land. America was quote unquote free for all because they were not recognizing the people who were there as owners of the land, which was the Native Americans. This is their land, you know. So I believe as well too that came out of the right to bear arms is about really protecting yourself and protecting your property and protecting your life and your property and your family. But right now in this day and age, it has taken a different life of its own.
Yeah. A lot of people are proud to hold a gun, and I will be the first to say, as someone who lives in the South, guns are a very big thing down there. They have gun shows, armory days, probably I'd say within 5 minutes of me at a gun store, genuinely. At one point in time, you could go get a gun at Walmart, like a simple hunting rifle in the
Don't
boat.
they do that anymore?
Not that I recall. I'm not sure if they still do at certain ones, but I know now you can't. You can get like an attachment,
Okay.
but you cannot go get a physical combustion rifle, let's say.
Okay.
Now with that, they feel the need that if you do restrict guns, that you're taking away my right, that you're taking away my gun. But that's not what's being asked. What's being asked is that those that are trying to acquire it just go through a stricter process of going through it, because you've had more school shootings in America recently, the last few years.
But
you've had more mass shootings in general in the last few years.
And it's always about young people that's doing it.
It's young people that have mental health or something else going on in their lives, or some other agenda, group, organization, or whatever that they're influenced. And they feel as if that action should not affect them. And what it comes down to is, while it should not affect you, it also should not affect the other people or have the ability to affect future victims and to prevent those same situations from happening. So it's not saying, hey, I want your gun. It's saying you can keep it. However, I want to make sure that you are of quality mind and body to operate a gun.
But they don't ask for mental health certificates.
They don't ask for that.
Right. So how do they know that I am in a good space to be responsible enough? My thing is, like in New York, to get a gun license, you have to go to a course, a certain number of hours. I did it. Because I
the LCC, the license to carry. I looked at it.
Yes, I did the course. You know, you must have go through that course, which teaches you basic responsibility of carrying a firearm.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the responsibility of maintaining it and protecting other life and how you secure it.
Yeah.
You know, so that other people cannot get access to it, easy access to it. They also tell you as well, if you cannot prevent someone from taking your weapon away from you, especially do not have a weapon.
Yes.
Because it's like, if I have a gun and I cannot defend keeping it, somebody who is better trained than me can come and take my gun away from me and use it against me, or use it against the people I am. So there is a lot of, so that's what happens in New York. In Florida, you can get a gun license, I think. Well, yes, and in other parts, it's not needed.
You need the license to carry outside of your home. However, even in Texas, I have one in the house. I have one in the apartment. You don't need a license to carry in your apartment. I have a small little, oh my gosh.
Do you have a license?
Yeah, I have a concealed carry license for
mine. Okay.
But
But you have to get the license. So how? But to get the license, you have to do
go
the
through a class.
course. Well, that's what I'm saying.
However, to get the gun itself, you don't need it. Anyone can walk into a shop and buy it. As long as your background check comes back that you are not a felon, you can get a gun. Yeah. The youngest I remember someone telling me.
And don't tell people what type of gun you have.
I mean, they just know I have one.
Okay.
They just know.
But don't tell people what type of gun you have.
Look, that's them. That's them if they want to try.
No, there are certain things that you have to keep private.
That's them if they want to try.
Just make them know that, hey, you can't. I'm protected.
Look, it's way more dangerous things than a gun.
Well, that's true. Somebody can knock you over with something.
No, the person that has it.
Yes.
It's the person that has it. For me, the youngest person that I know at my time growing up to have one was back in 6th grade.
6th grade?
6th grade.
Can you imagine?
So back then, that would be about 10 years old of someone having their own gun and going hunt. But back then, it was recreational use. They were hunting. They were doing sports shows and stuff. But again, still able to own and operate as a 6th grader. It's a big thing. So you making that a little bit stricter, let's say, in terms of, hey, you go through this psych, you go through this, you have your background check, sure, but maybe run it a little bit harder on certain people so that more don't have access to it. Then you can deter the issues that arise from having them. But in a lot of countries as well, because like you said, the Second Amendment was written at a time when it was needed. Now, yes, there's crime and stuff. There'll always be crime in the world. But you have other countries who their law enforcement are the only people who have guns. Over in the UK, they do not have guns. The citizens aren't allowed to have. However, even police, there's a special unit that comes that do have firearms.
Yes.
So that again even shows you the steps that other countries take when it comes to maintaining firearms and how they deal with their public situations with stuff like that.
But with the youth, there is a real more pressing concern because back in 2022, we get the stats that firearms was the leading cause of death over car crashes and everything else to gun violence, young people committing suicide. Or the other term is unaliving themselves.
The PC, political correct
the
version.
Political correct word for suicide is unalive. We don't want to hear the raw words anymore. There were 27,032 suicide deaths in 2022 through gunshots, children and teens. So between the ages of, saying that in 2022, firearms kill more children and teens between the ages of 1 to 17 than any other cause. Every 6 days, a child under 10 is killed by an unintentional shooting. You know, 4.6 million children live in households with at least one firearm that is loaded and unlocked. And that happens when they do not go to the course to get the firearm license. And then, because when you have a firearm, which I hope that you do, that it's in a secure place, your firearm's supposed to be in one place, and the bullets supposed to be somewhere else.
Yeah, all the time.
And the gun both supposed to be locked. Okay, and you have to have that key or somewhere when nobody knows, or what do you call those locks where you turn
the
it?
lockbox safe.
No,
the gun safe.
The gun safe, but the kind of lock where you click a number.
No, that's the gun safe.
Okay, yeah. So they need to be separated. Your gun needs to be unloaded and make sure that it's clear. The chamber is clear when you are storing it.
Yeah.
You know, and
But
that no child knows.
You also have to take out the firing pin.
You also have to take out the firing pin and also make sure it's on safety.
Yeah.
So it's all those things that need to be taught.
But again, like I said, you don't need to go there to get one.
Yes, you don't need to go. And
that's the big thing.
That's the big problem with.
So when you have that has such an easy access to acquire with a very low entry, then obviously you're going to have situations like that. And so if you're not taking those proper steps to at least regulate those portions, then obviously you're going to have high statistics that match and reflect, hey, this is how we're doing things currently. It's not working. Maybe if we just dial back a little and focus on the beginning of the problem, where it starts in the accusation, then lower down the line, everything gets better. But when you start there and you're telling me, an American, where in my Constitution it says, hey, you can go get this. And now you're saying, well, you got to go through X, Y, Z. But it says I can have it. Well, you still got to go through X, Y, Z. But it says I can have it. You have to go through X. Now I feel directly attacked in some type of way or form or fashion. And I feel
but there has to be some level of controls, you know. And looking at the fire violence with regards to where I got my statistics, I was looking at the John Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. That's where I got my stats I was sharing a while ago. And you know, it's really a burden on youth and teens, on children and teens, with regards to
but with children and teens as well, in terms of unaliving themselves using that, it's for a lack of political correctness. It's faster, it's instant, it's supposed to be quote unquote painless, and it gives you a sense of power. And then that is something we all want to think to our ego. Now, coming back to this, let me just read one of those things with the latest provisional data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, for 2023. It showed that the gun violence rate for 2023 was maintained for 2022. All right. The trend was still climbing upwards, and there is a little bit of improvement, but there's some troubling trends persist in that, especially about vulnerable demographic groups, young Black men in gangs and stuff like that. And the things that lead to those things are housing, unemployment, security. A lot of the violence is because survival. Yes, survival, and how they are raised. You have a family, you have yourself.
Education as well has an impact on the violence rate.
You say, as you said, that you have a gun, you have power. So now that I don't have anything else to lose, but I have this, I can go and get what I want. And that line of thinking, that mental thinking, as we were talking about, impacts a lot. You don't have that type of training in the education system. We don't have gun safety courses. There's not mental health courses. There's not an updated health course where they talk about sex education, where they talk about your basic diseases or how to take care of your body, puberty and stuff like that. And as we said, a lot of people don't even feel safe to come out and talk about certain things that they have going on with them because of how it's been received previously before.
Right.
So when you're lacking all this back work.
Can I ask a question though? Do you think it's a matter of being the adults feeling uncomfortable or embarrassed to have that level of conversation?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Because that comes back to the thing of, I don't want to feel something is wrong with me. And as a parent, you don't want someone to think something is wrong with your child. On top of that, previously, before, mental health was not talked about. If you came and told me you were sad or, you just don't feel good, the response someone would probably give you back then is like, what do you mean you're sad? The typical response was, you have a roof over your head, food on the table,
a bed to sleep
on, and clothes on your back. What could you be sad about? But there's more going on than just that. So when you're hit with that, that's an instant wall. You can't really talk through that. So it makes it very hard to move forward and have those open conversations and be ready for that. And the generations before didn't have those conversations, so
And
they
they
don't
don't
know how
know.
to initiate it or go about having it. So even they themselves are now getting the same information that we're getting to move forward and discuss and talk about, how you might be feeling today,
Right.
or are you okay, how's your mental health and stuff like
Yes.
that, how is your day today.
Excuse me.
And it, like we said, it goes deeper than that.
Yes.
So with everything that's going on, it's a lot of research that has to be done that will lead into the future and stuff as of how we can move forward. We can't do anything about the next 4 years.
Right.
Whatever happens, it happens, and you just kind of have to roll with it
Mm-hmm.
and do the best that you can with what we have.
Yes.
However,
We can get prepared
you
for
can
the
get prepared
fifth year.
for the 5th year and
And
be ready for that.
and there are different ways of being ready, because we can advocate.
You can
We
advocate.
can no, because a lot of people say, "Oh, there's nobody to speak up for me." Well, then what?
There's a lot of
change that you can also step up and be that voice to represent the other people in your sector.
There's local
That
there's local representatives.
Local
So you have
representatives.
your mayors, your towns, your
Right.
governors, and
town
stuff like that.
councils, education
Sure.
boards participate in the lowest level of government. School councils, school boards,
But
councils, city councils, and things like that. That is where its representation really happens on the ground.
And from there, once you have that knowledge, because a lot of people on the ballot, I can genuinely tell you, you don't know them. You only know your president and your vice president is there. Everybody else, you're probably just looking like.
But we have to make it our business to know them.
But you have to know them.
Find out where their local offices are, as well as there's nothing wrong in you getting yourself involved in politics. If you don't think there's somebody good enough to represent you, then find out how you can get into it to represent your demographic or the people like you. And as we're rounding up this program, remember you're watching The Youth Effect. I'm Kathy Robinson. This is Kurdian Robinson, and we're speaking to the impact on the youth of the 2024 U.S. election, which was just held last week or the past couple months leading up to it. And we have our president-elect, who is Donald Trump. So one thing I say, we have to either tighten our waist
or make America great again.
Or make America great again. So remember, you can reach out and look at Kurdians on the different platforms of Instagram and X, formerly called Twitter, and Facebook as well. Okay, he's a tattoo artist, he's a songwriter, he writes poetry too.
I really can't tell you what any.
Didn't you used to do photography at one time?
At one point in time, I did photography. I just shot a fashion show 3 weeks ago now.
Okay.
3 weeks ago, I shot a fashion show in Dallas, and then I have another one to shoot not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay, so and you have those posted on your Instagram post?
I have my post, but I do have links to those as well on my Instagram.
Okay, so there we go. So you can, and engage the young people around you in how do they feel impacted on things, because the youth will be impacted, just like how we adults feel impacted, but they have their own different perspective. So we're rounding up. What are 3 things that you would share, or suggestions or advice, or something you would say to your peers?
3 things I would say. Definitely, just because the person who is representing everybody, you may not feel like they represent you, doesn't mean that all is lost. There's still other people, like you said, on the lower levels that can help you and can get certain things pushed through that will make everything better. Get educated on a lot of different things, local laws, local policies, even just basic things that maybe you don't know, such like just history in general.
And you can go on the government websites and your state websites and your local municipalities websites as well to get that information. There is AI, use it. AI on your WhatsApp, use it to find this. Google it. Get the information, be in the know, be aware.
I know nobody likes when Siri pops up randomly, but just ask her a question. And then from there...
It's not everybody has Apple, you know.
Oh, my bad. What is it? Cortana, Alexa.
Cortana,
Alexa, Siri, all of them, yeah. ChatGPT.
And what to be your third thing?
My third thing, just buckle in for the next 4 years. That's really it. Mm-hmm. No one knows what can be expected. Case in point, 4 years ago,
right?
No one knew what it would be like and what it would look like after. Mm-hmm. And the world's changed.
Right.
And the world is ever changing. So just change with it.
Be flexible.
Go
with the flow.
Be so stuck that
or rigid
that when things do happen, you are not ready for it.
Be like the tree that bends in the wind.
Bend with
the wind. And 3 things you share for us adults.
3 things with adults. Be more open-minded, both with what's going on around you and what's going on at your home. Try to be more knowledgeable of the current times, because as things do change, what used to work does not work the same way that it did 10, even 2 years ago, you know? And that's really it.
Those you have a third one. There have to be a third one.
Third one? Who?
For adults. You mean you have got no third thing to tell adults?
Those are the 2 biggest.
Okay.
Being open-minded and just...
With regards to the youth?
With regards to the youth, yeah.
Okay. Be open-minded, be aware of what's going on at your home.
Find you one young person. Find you one young person.
To be a mentor.
To be a mentor to you. Honestly, the same way that we have older mentors, whether that be parental figures, grandparents, or be, some friend, family, coworker, boss, whatever. Have a younger person who can also be a mentor to you, to teach you something, so that you have that broader perspective and that open idea of why they think or do what they do now.
And in the meantime, if you don't find that, you will find it on the Youth Effect. We've been speaking with Kurdian Robinson for the past hour and a half, and he is so full of potential. Yes. And creating his opportunities, and the world is at his feet. He just has to go now and grab it, just like all the other youth and the children in your household. So as Cody just said, be aware of what's happening in your home. Be aware that your children, your nieces, your grandchildren have a voice. They have a perspective, and they have a level of wisdom that we do not have, because their ears are closer to the ground than we, and they have a different understanding of what's going on. You're watching the Youth Effect, and I thank you so much for being here with me, Kathy Robinson. You'll find us here every Monday at 8:30, speaking with another youth mentor. I'm going to take that, Kurtz. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm going to take that. Our youth mentors, to bring some level of insight to us, to help guide us to be able to cross that generational gap, so that we can live in harmony and understand each other and work with each other, and now help each other to provide the necessary resources that they need to fulfill who they are at their maximum potential. Thank you so much for spending that time with us. We know that everybody's time is precious, and we appreciate you for putting that precious time in the hour and a half, especially right now in the islands. Our clocks have gone back an hour. So we start at 8:30, but in the Caribbean islands, it's 9:30 their time. And maybe in California and everywhere else is 5 hours behind. So we appreciate the sacrifice that you're putting in listening to us, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or Roku. Come back next week. We'll have another awesome program for you next week. Another awesome youth mentor teaching us a different perspective and how to be able to embrace them in their journey into adulthood. Thank you so much. See you next week. Have an awesome week. Ciao.
Ciao.
Gonna hear us roar. Never forget your home, but look at where you're going. Keep that passion growing. Youth the heartbeat of a world in motion. So rise up, speak out, start the revolution. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, y'all hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar. The youth effect, we're raising up. The youth effect, y'all hold us down. The youth effect, we breaking ground. The youth effect, they gonna hear us roar.